There's 49er insiders. This is the 49er insider, NBC Sports Bay Area, and about the nicest guy you'll ever meet. Matt Maiocco with us. How are you today, Matt?
I bet you say that to all the men and women. I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Glorious, what is it, Thursday afternoon?
Matt, I never, ever say that to Matt Barrows. I promise you. I would never say that to
Wow. Yeah, that would be the one exception. We can all agree on that.
We appreciate your time very much. I know you're super, super busy. I know everyone's talking about Brandon Aiyuk, and we've been over and over the same material here. Can you tell us, Matt, in your view, how Ricky Pearsall and his injury perhaps factor into this whole saga?
I don't think his injury factors into it at all. From what I understand, it's nothing serious. The rookies report a week ahead of the veterans, and the coaches aren't even in the office now. All this is just conditioning. And if somebody shows up to training camp with any kind of tweak, they put them on that list. It just means you can't practice. Well, they don't practice for a week anyway. So as I understand it, his practice time will not be cut into much, if at all. Now, the arrival of Ricky Pearsall, that's maybe another story. When the 49ers selected him at number 31 overall, it was certainly with an eye to the future. And, doesn't mean the future 2024. I don't think so. I think that as much as they liked him, obviously they liked him a lot to draft him where they did. What the 49ers try to do is draft a year ahead for need. So in other words, they don't want to be flying into the draft going, oh boy, we don't have a starter at this position. Let's draft that spot. It's more looking ahead a year and saying, hey, where might this team need help a year from now? And it kind of shows up. You have just look at the second round. They have both starting cornerbacks are scheduled for free agency. What do? They draft a cornerback this year looking ahead to 2025. Same can be said for offensive guard. Dominic Pooney is a guard. I don't think they expect him to play year one, but Aaron Banks is in the final year of his contract. So they're looking ahead a year. So I think that has something to do with Pearsall as well. I would think that probably the team doesn't foresee both Aiyuk and Deebo Samuel being on the roster in 2025. But certainly when the draft concluded, they expect both of those guys to be on the team in 2024. So I think that the fact that Brandon Aiyuk has requested the 49ers trade him, their players have done that in the past, and the 49ers have never, ever fulfilled the trade request of any of those players, and I don't see them starting now.
Hey, Matt, it seems like, one of the things we've been talking about last couple of weeks, it seems a little different than Deebo and Bosa and, some of the other negotiations that they've gone through. It seems like that they've drawn a line in the sand. How would you characterize where things stand at between Aiyuk and the Niners right now?
No, I would agree with you. I mean, I don't think there was ever a real thought. I know there were, potential trade, there was speculation, I guess, 2 years ago with Deebo. But, I mean, just look at the 49ers, the guys that they have rewarded with lucrative contract extensions, going back to Kittle, Warner, Deebo Samuel, last year, Nick Bosa. I don't think there was ever a point with any of those guys where you thought that the deal wasn't going to get done. It just kind of seemed like a fait accompli. It was just a matter of when it was going to happen. This one's different in part because they've already paid those guys. And, when a team doesn't have a whole lot of high-priced players, basically, regardless of the position, if you have a good player, you're going to hold on to him and you're going to pay him market value. Now I think the 49ers have gotten to the point where they've paid so many guys market value at players at basically every position group. And they still have Brock Purdy out there a year from now who will have to pay, the 49ers will have to pay a market value type of deal for. At some point, you can't pay everybody. And it very well might be this is that place where, early in the offseason, the 49ers might have signed Brandon Aiyuk to a deal averaging $26 million a year. But from the time that those negotiations were taking place, the price has been raised. Amon-Ra St. Brown, signed a deal for $30 million a year, and that is probably the area. I mean, is Brandon Aiyuk Amon-Ra St. Brown? It's debatable, but I don't think it is debatable that it's close.
Uh-huh.
So that's the area where, Brandon Aiyuk and his agent should be looking, because now that's the market. The question is, can the 49ers afford to pay another player at that kind of market deal when they have other contracts that are going to be coming down the line, like I noted, most specifically Brock Purdy?
That, of course, is Matt Maiocco, 49er insider for NBC Sports Bay Area, co-host of the 49ers Talk pod. Matt, you've partially answered this question already, so I apologize. But in your professional opinion, how badly do the 49ers want Brandon Aiyuk around this year? How badly does he actually, if he had his druthers, want to stay here?
Well, I think both. I mean, the 49ers would. I don't think the 49ers honestly have any other thought than Brandon Aiyuk will be playing for the team this year. Mm-hmm. He is under contract. I just don't see the upside for them to trade him, because if you trade him, he won't be on your team, and there's no possible way you can make the argument that this team could be better off without Brandon Aiyuk. Also, they wouldn't be getting anything in return from him. There wouldn't be a player-for-player trade. I mean, those really aren't done in the NFL. Yeah. So any compensation you get for him would be in next year's draft. So I just don't see an upside, because you do have him under contract. He might not be happy. I guess the one upside of trading him would be that you might not have a disgruntled player in the locker room. But ultimately, Brandon Aiyuk, if forced to play for the 49ers, will have to play and play well, because he still will not have gotten that huge second contract that he desires. And the only way he gets that is if he goes and balls out. So I think that's where the 49ers are, and that we can talk about windows and whatnot, but let's face it. I mean, it's a year-to-year thing if that window is open. The window is most certainly open right now, so why wouldn't you put your best team out there? And as far as Brandon Aiyuk, I mean, he owes it to himself to want to play for the 49ers, but only if the 49ers want to give him what he thinks he's worth. So absolutely he would love to stay with the 49ers. Absolutely the 49ers would love to keep around Brandon Aiyuk, but it has to be right financially for both sides in order to make that work on a long-term basis.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, when we look at this, the talk is that the Niners have all the leverage. We got veterans reporting to camp next week. How do you see this playing out in the long run, I guess, leading up to the season, into the season?
I mean, that's a great question. I don't know. Well, here's, I guess, in the big picture, I would fully expect Brandon Aiyuk to be on the 49ers this season. What that looks like, I don't know. Can the sides reach a deal that satisfies Brandon Aiyuk? Yeah, it's definitely possible. I don't think it's as, I mean, if you'd asked me right when the season ended, I would have said, oh, it's going to happen, no question. But then certain things happen along the way. The wide receiver market continues to explode. 49ers select a wide receiver in the first round. They signed Juwan Jennings to a 2-year extension at a pretty good price. They increased Christian McCaffrey's salary. So now I'm starting to wonder about that. What I don't know would be what's the end game for Brandon Aiyuk.
Right.
I would assume the 49ers don't trade him for the reasons I just outlined. So what does Brandon Aiyuk do? Does he report for training camp? Does he do a hold in where he's in camp so he can't get fined, but yet he doesn't practice? And at some point, I know that John Lynch and Brandon Aiyuk's agent are basically best friends. at what point does John Lynch just say, hey, as a friend of yours, this contract is not going to happen. So Brandon needs to get on the field because he needs to have a good season, not just for the team, but for himself and his long-term security. So I don't know what happens if Aiyuk sits out, if he holds out, at what point he reports. Right. Does he report right before the start of the regular season? Does he? And I think he would, because basically every game he misses would be, roughly $800,000 that he can't get back. So I do expect Aiyuk to be with the team. I just don't know how it's going to look to get to that point.
Matt, we appreciate your time very much. He's the Bay's go-to guy for 49er information. He and our friend Jennifer Lee Chan, Matt Maiocco. Before we let you go, I got to ask you, you reminded me of something when you talked about how the 49ers will draft for need a year ahead of time. Man, I try to shop that way and I can't. It's like I'm always like, oh, I need to go get something now. I should have bought that last week. I can't do it. How about you?
Well, I mean, we're talking about perishables and non-perishables. I would say if you're going to the produce section, don't shop a week ahead of time.
Right.
Unless you're buying. And then the other thing is, don't ever buy green bananas. Never. Don't do it.
For any reason.
It's not worth it.
See, he's got the best information. Thanks, Matt. It's great to catch up with you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, boy. There you go.